wiped back down, and then the magazines should be reloaded. There are several different components, of course, and as we've already shown you, I want to remind you again that the standard AK-47 magazine, in this case an East German 30-round stick mag, is relatively inexpensive at this time to provide for your militia forces. Each weapon should have a minimum of 6, and that is considered to be a bare minimum. Preferably, as many as you can afford would be our best option at this time. In the hands of the gun dealers, it's most likely that when the time comes, they'll be confiscated because they're in a central location. Instead, we need to see all of these parts and assemblies dispersed as well as possible out to the users at this point in time. These will not be the weapons that fight the entire war, but rather will be just one of the many weapon systems that will be utilized as a stopgap measure until such time as our militia weapons production can reach full production levels. Seeing here, first of all, is one of the entire families of cartridges used by both the Colonial Marines in all 37 to 38 states that are presently operational, and many of the calibers presently used by the militia, excluding standard 7.62 x 39, which is of course also in service. We have the 50 caliber 300 Winchester, the Zussman Ackerman discarding Sable 45 caliber round, approximately a 500 grain and with a potential of about 3,800 feet per second. The standard 223 round 30 caliber carbine, standard 30 caliber Tokarev, which is specific to the Colonial Marines, and of course, since we have the 30 Tokarev, we now have 30 caliber discarding Tokarev, which carries a 40-50 grain 223 bullet, normally a Spitzer. The potential ballistic for this is approximately 2,300 feet per second and will penetrate almost all body armor that is in existence. In addition to the standard 9mm cartridge, but again, what we are demonstrating here is improvising utilizing existing technology. The Zussman cartridge is a belted cartridge, and the Tokarev pistol round, of course, is a standard pistol round. In this case, we might mention also made from a standard 223 rifle round cartridge. When this brass is collected and some is found to be damaged around the neck or shoulder, this case can be cut down and reutilized as a standard Tokarev pistol round. And again, remember, now you have a training round that can be reloaded over and over and over again based on a piece of rifle brass, which has a much stronger and thicker cartridge wall. Again, the performance ratio is much higher, and the recoil and felt recoil for the shooter is much lower. This is also desirable for our older shooters who may have some difficulties with the recoil of many of the handguns that are out there. In this case, just as a short example of one of the many Tokarev cartridge pistols that's available, the CZ family of weapons are very well engineered, very well designed, and reasonably available. Also, magazines, in this case an original one, are also produced inside the continental United States by USA Magazine and some other companies, and again are reasonably priced so that you can support this weapon at a very economical level. Colonial Marines, of course, are standardizing on sophisticated new rounds and are developing new families of weapon systems across the country. The Zussman Ackerman cartridge came from one of our new munitions plants in the South Midwest and is capable of producing virtually millions of these rounds at our discretion, utilizing as a base pattern other cartridges from around the world. Might also note that there are many different systems that are available and on hand, and again, this is just the opening family that will be necessary and will be utilized depending upon availability. You will remember that in the equipping for the New World Order Part 1 tape and in many other discussions that we've had across the country, we have not recommended standardizing on any one system, and there is a reason for that. If the other side had some idea of what we were standardizing on, then they know exactly what to choke off and ensure that that system was not available to the militia, the Patriots, or the Colonial Marines. We might remind you, as we showed earlier in this particular segment, that the standard AK-47 chest pouch, a very simple system that would provide support for the AK family of weapons and the AK magazines, has been banned from import in the United States. A non-lethal item, but obviously a viable item that the Patriot movement can use. We have to come up with solutions, and again, here are some that you can choose from yourself. At this point in time, we're going to cover some of the more specialized weapon systems provided by the militia. On a regular basis, heavy long-range weapons with telescopic sights, obviously, not necessarily sniper rifles, but counter-sniper rifles, are being employed throughout all of the militia and Colonial Marine forces across the nation. You might, as you recall, notice that we have used the term improvise many times, and this is a classic example of utilizing what's on hand to the best of your ability. The particular snow camouflage cover mounted on this particular weapon was made up from a white dress shirt. Notice that with a little bit of sewing, it covers the front of the scope area, the entire forestock, the barrel, and is attached utilizing existing button points and, of course, the original seam points that were on the shirt. This is a very simple system, very easy to improvise and use off the shelf. And for those of you seamstresses who are out there watching this right now, you're probably saying, I can do that. Well, you're right, you can. So again, it's only a matter of imagination, and there are many different solutions being found across the country. This is a good example of one of them. But what we're looking at here is the basic support technology for a sniper or counter-sniper unit in an operational area. Now, you will, of course, change, or you can change, the technology that you're using depending upon budget and resources. In this case, first of all, reconnaissance is a primary concern. We're looking at photographic intelligence, utilizing a 35mm camera, but the technology will vary depending on what you have available. And today, video cameras are also quite popular. Remember, too, that while you're carrying the camera and you're carrying film in it, always carry spare film, and whenever possible, date the package and identify what film is in there with how many exposures. In this case, I believe this is a disposable camera, a throwaway. An excellent option because, again, you're not concerned with losing it. If you do take the photographs but have to dispose of the evidence for a short period of time, you can leave this without crying about it, unlike the 35mm commercial camera. Once reconnaissance has been done, and also while reconnaissance is being done, other optics are, of course, desirable. The more detailed the optic work done, the more likely it is you're not going to fail when the time comes to perform the mission. Remember also that with any type of long-range shooting operations, the spotter should also be provided with optics. In this case,